We are reacting to our conversation with Quinton Lucas here on KCMO Talk Radio, 913-408-7957. Mike's in the Northland. Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hey, Mr. Pete, I love your show, and I love you. You know that. Hey, listen, I was talking to my friend here the other day, and I don't even know how we got on the subject of his wife. She came over here.
Jeez, Mike, where are you going with this one, buddy? But anyway, continue.
Well, wait a minute here. I got a point here. We were talking, he just said, hey, my wife got her permit the other day. And I said, what permit? Because I knew she was in the country trying to get citizenship. He's paid over $10,000 in lawyers. She had a green card. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, she got a letter the other day, her waiver. And I said, a waiver? He goes, yeah. He said, everything that she's done illegal with Social Security and having a Social Security number like that, they got her waiver and said the next step is going to be her citizenship. And I said, you know that's not right. If that would have been the average American doing that, we'd be thrown in jail. Mm-hmm. He goes, yeah, I know that. And that's the first time I've ever heard of anybody getting one of those letters saying you've been pardoned. You know, it's like a pardon.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anything like that?
I have not. I'm not going to lie, Mike. No, I have not.
Yeah. All right. Just a little food for thought there. I don't know.
Listen. But you at least got someone who's doing it the right way through the legal process. And that's not what we have going on here. You can't say that they're lawfully present and they're all part of an asylum claim when that's not what's going on. And we've got that data from House committees. Preston is on KCMO. Hey, Preston, good morning.
Hey, Pete, love the show. Hey, as someone who's 22, I just don't think Mayor Lucas and Joe Biden, people like that, realize that a lot of us in the younger generation, we're not buying what they're selling. You know, they're selling a lot of BS, and we're not buying it.
Mm-hmm. Listen, you can decide for yourself, Preston, and I think a lot of people are going to be in that same position to decide whether or not they're buying it. But I'm just trying to get a number, right? I mean, like anything else in life, what's your number? And saying 50 is more accurate than 50,000. It's quite a gap we got there. 913-408-7957. News coming up, and then we'll get to more of you next on KCMO. You got to decide what you want out of it. That's what this comes down to. I mean, if you're a Kansas City, Missouri resident, obviously the mayor is your mayor. You can reach out to your city council members and say, at least get me answers here. Right? That's what I would be doing. We just got done last hour with Mayor Lucas. He was on this show, and we talked about this report that came from Bloomberg this week that said Kansas City is welcoming in illegal immigrants who, may have work permits, but it doesn't change the fact that they are illegal immigrants who came to the country and now may have a work permit. The whole idea and the notion of lawfully present, once again, that's playing with words. That's, I would argue, propaganda. But neither here nor there. Call it whatever you want. If you are a resident in Kansas City, you are allowed to ask questions. And we did that with Mayor Lucas last hour. Now, whether or not you like the answers, that's up to you. And the most basic question I can ask, since the timeline on this is apparently around Memorial Day, according to the Bloomberg article, and trust me, I read the Bloomberg article. If you were and are a listener here on 95.7, you will certainly know that we shared the article extensively with you yesterday, and the headline was New York City migrants being welcomed by Kansas City's mayor to fill jobs. The most basic question there is how many? And if you get told it's closer to 50 than 50,000, the answer is, I don't know. The answer is there is no number. Because you can't possibly imagine you walk into your boss today, right? And you're going through like the financials for the company. Maybe you're the CFO, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. You're an accountant. It doesn't matter what you do. You walk into your boss's office and your boss is asking you for some numbers, right, on the latest spreadsheets. And you say, well, boss, I can't give you a real number on the estimated revenues for this month. It's somewhere between, I think we're looking at either 50,000 or 5 million. I'm still kind of working on the details here. Let's just put it this way. If I was the boss, you're fired. You're not giving me a range of 50,000 to 5 million for a business and trying to get me to do something with it. And that's basically what we have going on. I don't know what to make of it. I thought I would at least have a number to work with, but we don't have a number to work with. And you can only ask the same question so many times before you expect, a different result. And we certainly weren't getting that. Bert's on KCMO, 913-408-7957. Hi, Bert.
Hey, how are you, Pete?
I'm doing well, my man. Rainy day, but doing well. What's happening?
Hey, I would like to know, Mr. Lucas, how many of these people he's going to put in his neighborhood? Maybe we ought to start putting these people in the affluent places in Kansas City. Probably a mass exodus, just like Martha's Vineyard, don't you think?
I sometimes forget about the great Martha's Vineyard stunt by Ron DeSantis when he sent a bunch of illegals up there to Martha's Vineyard, and then those people kicked them off their island in less than 24 hours while showering them with flowers and kisses on their way out the door. Remember that? I mean, it was freaking. I mean, just the hypocrisy was hysterical.
Yeah, but I do, maybe the mayor ought to start a program called Adopt a Family, and we could have the czar, Dandy Don from Blue Springs, and he could help with the immigration process because he's a lawyer. He could speed it up for him.
Oh, man. Now you're putting together the dream team of attorneys here in Kansas City. Who needs Johnny Cochran? Who needs Johnny Cochran and Robert Kardashian when you got Donnie in Blue Springs and, working with the fine mayor? They're two attorneys right there.
Yeah, maybe they could do it pro bono, too.
Oh, brother. Thank you, Bert.
I'd like to hear Don call in, see how many he's going to adopt this week.
Yeah, well, no one's heard from Don in Blue Springs, and I mean, it's been, if it hasn't been a year, it's been many, many months.
Yeah.
So if you want to do thank you, Bert. You want to do a welfare check out there in Blue Springs, let me know. We'll hook you up with the, actually, I don't know the Blue Springs police chief. I was going to say Independence, but don't know the Blue Springs police chief. Emily's in Liberty. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Hey, Pete, good morning. So I listened to your talk with Mayor Lewis, and to be honest, it's absolutely infuriating because it is just as slimy as it can get with the word choices. I mean, it's total garbage. But it left me just feeling kind of frustrated and hopeless and just like, man, no matter what we do, my husband and I, we work hard. I gave up my career to stay home with my kids. We homeschool them. We're involved in our church. We try to, be involved in our community and be good contributors. We're raising our kids to do the same, we hope. And all of this, just the onslaught, locally, nationally, just makes me feel like, what does it matter? And I think that's the point. I think that's what they want. And so I just wanted to call and give encouragement to all of us out there who are trying to do the right thing. Don't stop. Ask the questions. Keep involved. Keep doing the thing, because what they want is for us to feel like it's too much and we just, no matter what, we should give up.
Well, bless you, Emily. I mean, that is well said. I think a lot of people need to hear that every day across Kansas City and across the country. And you're not crazy, you're not
and
insane.
We're not alone. Yeah, we're not crazy and we're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
So we should just keep that in mind. There are a lot of us out there too. And if we keep at it, hopefully we can make a little bit of a difference. Yeah,
and this is, to me, it's just common sense. That's really what this comes down to. It's really not. Thank you, Emily. It's not. I don't think it is. I don't think letting 10 million people across the border in 3 years is like a hard conservative right wing thing to be against. I'm pretty confident that is something that when it comes to just common sense policy on the federal level, this administration has failed at every turn. I mean, every single turn. And it's been willful ignorance is what it's been. Eli's in Kansas City. Hello, Eli. What's happening?
Morning, Pete. I am wondering, regardless of the debate between, legal, illegal, allowed to work, not allowed to work, perception is everything. And I wonder if Mayor Lucas has considered the risk of Texas and Florida and states like that sending busloads of immigrants to Kansas City now in response to what maybe is perceived as kind of sanctuary city style policies.
So are you suggesting then that he's not thinking about what could come from this decision and this attention, or are you saying he would want that?
I'm saying I don't think he has thought that through, or maybe hasn't thought that through. I think, oftentimes good intentions have unintended consequences, and, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he has the world's best intentions, but this is such a hot button topic at the moment that just the perception of being a sanctuary city could now put us at risk of thousands upon thousands coming in busloads from Texas and Florida being shipped up from DeSantis and Abbott and guys like that who also have great intentions in what they're trying to do for their states. But so I would be concerned about the perception of being a sanctuary city, even if we're not, and what that might mean in terms of response from governors in Republican states like Florida.
I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point, Eli. You know, does Abbott say, sure, you know, this story gets national attention from Bloomberg. All right, you know, you guys want him up there in Kansas City, send him up. Now, something tells me Governor Parson would step in and say, hey, Abbott, you know, you can't do this. Here's why. This is illegal, blah, blah, blah. You know, the governor may get involved at that point, but who knows? You know, that's the thing. Anyone who tells you they really know what's going on when you're moving and shifting 10 million people around the country at will, some by bus, some by train, some by airplane, who knows? Anyone that tells you they know exactly what's happening right now in this system, DHS or otherwise, is not giving you the rundown. It's impossible. Tara in Lee Summit. Hi, Tara.
Hi. Hey, so there is no way we are getting 50 people. He has a budget of $1 billion for this program.
1 million, 1 million.
Okay, so 1 million, even 1 million, there's no way that's 50 people.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I agree. I would lean that, but I don't really know. I have no idea. But if you got the budget for 1 million, something tells me you could crunch a number and kind of get in the ballpark.
Exactly. And he's avoiding that number. That's all.
Yeah. Tara, thank you very much. 913-408-7957. Lance in the Northland. Hey, Lance.
Hey, Pete. Another number that I know you only have so much time with him, so I get it. You can't go over all these things. But, you know, he's saying we need to bring these people in to fill jobs. Well, how many jobs need to be filled? Mm-hmm. And are there not enough people in Kansas City to fill those jobs? If it's 5,000, are you telling me there's not 5,000 people in Kansas City that wouldn't like a good manufacturing job? And if we don't bring immigrants in, well, they have to pay our local citizens more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and thank you, Lance. It's an excellent point that you're bringing up here that needs to be addressed. How many people across the Kansas City region, great point, Lance, are struggling right now, are down on their luck, are working poor, who want to develop a skill set to maybe get that manufacturing job? What are we doing for them? How are we helping them get a hand up? What are we doing on their behalf? Now, I get it. There's just some lazy people who don't want to work that are total bums and want to leech off the government. Like, I get there's a percentage of the population that finds that attractive. But I guarantee you there are thousands of people who genuinely want to find themselves in a better lot in life here in Kansas City. And if it's 50 people, I think we can canvass certain neighborhoods around town and find those 50 people in a heartbeat. You know? I don't think that's going to be all that tough, which tells me it's not 50. Unless it's just one big political play, and that's what, man. And I would say this to Quinton Lucas, as someone who's known him for a while and does have a professional relationship with him. Don't be hitching to that wagon, man. I mean, this thing is sinking fast.
Come on, man.
It is sinking fast. 913-408-7957. At 8:35 this morning, I'm going to play a clip from a school board here in the Kansas City area that Mark had to bleep out 30 times in a minute. 30 bleeps in a minute. We'll play it at 8:35. Do not miss it. It is unlike anything you will hear from any school board coming up at 8:35 on KCMO. Give me a number, baby. That's all I'm looking for. Give me a number as we talk about Kansas City and illegal immigrants coming and supposedly joining the workforce. That's the only reason they would come here. Can I get a number, Mr. Mayor Lucas? Here's what he said last hour. You said the number that you're looking at for these folks, you're saying 50 is the number of people you're looking at, 50. Is that right, or did I misunderstand that?
I said it's more like 50 than 50,000.
Okay. Well, that's a hell of a gap. Imagine trying to get through your marriage with, numbers that far apart. Honey, what's the budget for the upcoming vacation? Is it 500 or $5,000? Well, could be 50 grand. Just depends on the kind of mood we're in on a given day. What's the budget for the new car that we got this month? What are we looking at here? How much can we spend? Is it 10 grand or is it 100,000? Well, that's it could be one or the other. Depends on the day. Where do you where do you draw the line, for crying out loud? Greg is on KCMO. Hey, Greg.
Hey, this is Greg up in Leavenworth. Hey, we've got plenty of homeless here in our homeless shelter. We could put them on a van this afternoon, help them out with that 50. And we've probably got about another 50 homeless vets that could use some help. So we can prime the pump for the mayor and help them out there in Kansas City.
Well, that's very nice of you up there in Leavenworth, Greg.
Such a nice man.
Appreciate your hospitality, buddy.
Sure enough. Bye.
Thanks, Greg. Spencer in Northtown. Spencer, you're on KCMO.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike. And I didn't hear the interview this morning, but I did hear just that cut right there, 50 to 50,000, and that's just comical. And maybe you did this, but has anybody called him out and said, Q, you're just trying to get national news and national attention for your next step. Why don't you pay attention to our city a little bit more and stop worrying about yourself? Because this is just a joke in my mind, and I'll step off.
Well,
Thanks.
listen, I last week, and I encourage you to listen back to it. Thank you very much there, Spencer. Listen back to it after the show in full on the podcast. I'll play more of it in the 9 o'clock hour for those who might have missed it. However, last week the mayor was in D.C. advocating for student loan bailouts on behalf of the administration. And now this. I think it's fair to wonder, and today I really wanted to dig into the details on this issue, on this plan, on why this is a thing Kansas City is considering. But I think the next question that is fair to ask of Spencer is is there some end game here personally and professionally that happens all the time in politics, right? I mean, hell, if I'm Quinton Lucas, I'm looking at Mayor Sweet Pete Buttigieg, Booty Juice, as Biden calls him once in a while when he's slurring his words, and saying, I'm smarter than that guy. I've done more than that guy. My city's 5 times the size of that guy's. And, he's the freaking transportation secretary. Choo-choo. I'm wondering that if I'm Quinton Lucas, right? And if I want to further myself, you can't do it at the state level anymore with the way Missouri's made up. So that may be the best bet. So I think, hey, what's the future hold personally? I think that's a fair question to ask. Corey's next up. Hey, Corey, what's happening?
Hey, I retired from ICE in 2022, and if Kansas Cityans think that there's only 50,000 illegal immigrants here in Kansas City, they're out of their minds. The onslaught that we had from 2020 to 2021 into 2022 was, even in Kansas City, was beyond your imagination as far as numbers. So it doesn't matter what the mayor is talking about. They're already here by the millions. And I'm talking about in Kansas City.
Now, the millions? Come on.
Oh, dude, you have no idea how many people. If the
okay, but if you want to tell me it's tens of thousands or thousands, but I mean, there's 500,000 people in the city. I mean, you can't tell me there's millions of people.
The general metro area. You got Kansas, this Kansas side too. So
yeah.
it's all in one area. But there are, if whatever number the government is telling you that is crossing the border, multiply it by a factor of 5.
Okay, I mean, listen, I can, Corey, I can totally, buy that. I'm not going to buy the government's number. You're on point there. I'll give you that for sure. So, good stuff there. Tim in Grandview, what's up, Tim?
Hey, Pete. Just for your liberal listeners, that they know the process of how it actually works. My wife's from Europe, and in 2020, when she moved here, just to get her green card, she had to provide, medical records, vaccinations, transcripts. She had to provide, all her assets, cars, apartments, and this the process now is just a joke. We jokingly joke about it where she comes up and she says, I should come through the southern border. I said, yeah, you probably would have got a free phone out of it.
Oh, gosh. It would have been a lot easier, it sounds like, Tim. Thank you. And glad your wife's going about it the right way. Hope you guys have a great marriage and a great life together, buddy.
Thanks, bro.
You bet. That's, listen, there's millions of people who we want to be here, who are, longing to be Americans, and we want them all here, right? I want them to be part of this great country and this great culture. But, man, the last 3 years, that ain't the way to do it. And Kansas City should not be part of bailing out the loser who's been in charge of this whole deal.